So I used to live in London and I was nearly mugged wearing a Rolex Submariner. Welcome back to Bark and Jack, I'm Adrian, and this channel is just about me exploring watches and sharing my experiences with watches. I'm no watch expert, I'm just a guy who likes watches, and I thought I'd share my ideas and what I experienced with you guys. If you want to support the channel, hit that subscribe button down there, and then hit that little bell icon so you can get notifications when I drop a new video. Today I'm going to talk about my experience of nearly being mugged in London whilst wearing a Rolex, and not to do any fear-mongering thing. I actually want to do quite the opposite of that, because there is a lot of press around gangs in London targeting people with watches, and I kind of want to talk about my experience, but then also put it into context, because it's not as bad as what people make it. So to set the scene, I just bought a Rolex Submariner 5513 from 1985. It had the gloss dial, so it wasn't particularly rare, but it was a cool watch. It was a nice watch. I bought it as a daily watch because at the time, my current daily watch was my Kermit, the 16610 LV, the 50th anniversary Submariner, and the price of that had just kept going up, and I just didn't feel comfortable wearing that value of watch as a daily watch. So I bought a 5513 to kind of be my fun daily watch, and it's still obviously a very nice watch, but it wasn't worth as much as a Kermit. Anyway, I lived in Elephant and Castle at the time. I moved there before the gentrification, or at the start of the gentrification, and it was still really quite a rough area. Elephant and Castle was home to the largest housing estate in Europe. By the time I'd moved there, it was derelict, but it was still quite an eerie area, and there were people who were very reluctant to move out. The housing estate really was quite infamous. Films have been made on the gangs that lived and kind of, I guess, controlled that estate. What happened, I'd left the tube station, I was walking around under a bridge, around to where the new Sainsbury's was. And there was a bit of commotion down the road. I was wearing brogues, I was wearing chinos, I was wearing a shirt and a nice tailored jacket. I'd just come back from work. I looked like a target. There was a bit of commotion on the street ahead of me on the pavement. I looked up and there were two mopeds on the pavement. Now, I was already aware of the rampant moped crime that was within London. So naturally, your instincts kind of kick in, and you want to take action when you see people dicking about. People on mopeds do just drive past and snatch whatever they want. If they see you on a phone, they'll just mount the pavement, pull the phone off your hand, and they're gone, and there's no way of tracking them, although the police do now have powers to knock people off their mopeds, which is incredibly satisfying to watch. There was one guy on one moped and there were two guys on another moped. They were completely covered up, all head to toe in black, and all you could see were their eyes. And they were just weaving in and out of people and just dicking about on the pavement. Naturally, you would want to take action to move away from the potential threats, but annoyingly, my kind of arrogance and big-headedness came into play, and I stuck with the journey with the path that I was going on, which was right for these guys. For some reason, my arrogance just didn't want me to back down from what was going on, which was a dumb idea. As these guys had got into my space or got close to me, the moped stopped either side of me. The guy got off and put his hand on my chest. I can't remember what he said, but it was probably something around the idea of what's the time, or something around that, trying to engage in conversation. Suddenly people had come from, it felt like nowhere. It's as if people had come out from the crowd, and I was then surrounded, probably by, I don't know, probably like 5 or 6 guys were around me. And they had just come from the crowd. So it was obviously a gang thing. Luckily there was a Sainsbury's, went in there, took off my watch, hid it in my sock. I thought that was a wise thing to do. I walked around and they'd come into the Sainsbury's and they were following me around. And I was just going in and out of people, and I managed to get out of the Sainsbury's. Now, at that time, there was a lot of building work going on, and I knew that area very well because that was my area. And so I was able to go in and out of all the building construction areas and then get into one of the new developments, which was a bit of a maze, and that's when I was able to lose them. So it was a close call. They obviously wanted something. I don't know where it could have gone had I stood there and just interacted with these people. I just went with my instinct, and my instinct was just remove yourself from this situation. Now, it's a bit of an anticlimax to that whole story, and that's kind of my point. There is a lot of crime in London. It's a city. Any city in the world, there's a lot of crime. It's also one of the wealthiest cities in the world. So if you want to target rich people, You go to where the rich people are. Ironically, not in Elephant and Castle. That's why a lot of the watch crime happens in Knightsbridge, the whole Mayfair area, Sloane Square, all of that West London, very, very wealthy areas. That's where it happens, because if you just pick anyone off the street, they're wearing a nice watch. And that's just how it is. Now, to put it in perspective, that one instance was the only time that I felt like I could potentially lose a watch. I'd lived in London for nearly 10 years, and that was the only time out of that whole period that I ever felt like I was about to lose a watch. And so there's a lot of stories going on in the press, and there's a lot of clips of people getting mugged and shops getting broken into, but the likelihood of it happening to you is incredibly slim. I guess my advice for people who are traveling to London and want to wear a nice watch is down to your experience and you being streetwise to the situation. I've taken my watch off a few times just to limit any possible interaction, but nothing's come as close as that interaction that I had with the guys on the moped. So yes, you do have to be smart and don't walk around a shitty part of London with a gold Rolex or a gold AP. You're asking for trouble, but equally just be smart about what you're doing. There are gangs that focus on watch people. They have spotters who know about watches, and they can identify a high value watch, and then they'll get other people to go do the job and get that watch off you. It happens, but it's not something that should be particularly concerning for you. It's a good story to have Joe Bloggs lost his arm for a gold Rolex. It's newsworthy, so people know about it, but it's certainly not as bad as what people make out in the news. Anyway guys, let me know your stories of watch safety in the comments below. It's always nice reading other people's stories, and if you're traveling to London, just be aware of what's going on around you. That's pretty much it. I'll be doing a video in a couple of weeks around the best places to shop in London for watches, so hit that subscribe button down there and the bell icon so you're made aware of that. If you want to support the channel, jump over to barkandjack.shop and check out our NATO straps. If you want to check out articles and previous videos, jump over to barkandjack.com and have a look at our website. If you're on Instagram, give me a follow at barkandjack, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.